My class took a field trip in 5th grade. It happened in around May. The teachers took us all to a middle school. It was mostly for people who were going to be there next semester, but I wasn't going to this particular middle school. But I came so I could avoid school assignments all day. Anyways, the bus ride there took around half an hour to an hour, and when we arrived, nobody was really excited, but we were interested about this field trip. So the teachers told us all to get out in a single file line, and when everything was set, we set foot into the middle school. Everything about it was so different from what we had back in our school. Classrooms were more big, the cafeteria was more disgusting, etc. Everything about the school in general was more improved. But at one point during the trip, I really needed to go to the bathroom. So I went to the nearest bathroom, and after I finished doing my business, I go back outside to see all the lights turned out. The hallways were very dark, and the group was nowhere to be found. I didn't realize what was happening back then. I just thought the power must have gone out. So I walked around the hallways to find the group, but it was very quiet throughout the school. I couldn't hear a single voice in the darkness around me. But as I was looking around, I noticed someone down in the hallways. He approached me. Then he bent down to my height and asked if I was lost. I told him yes. Then he sounded very reassuring, saying that he would take me back to the group. Then he started to walk me down the hallways, and then we went back outside. I couldn't find the group anywhere. Then we walked even farther, but as we did, everything started to become unfamiliar, until we finally reached the parking lot. The guy told me he would drive me back to the school, then told me to get inside the van he was pointing to. For some stupid reason, I believed him, but as I was about to get inside the van, the guy screamed a curse word before he ran into the van and booked it out of the school. I was confused at first, but then the police and my teacher came to me. They asked me if I was hurt or harmed in any way. I told them I was fine. Then they took me back to the school. I asked them why they were worried. Then they explained what happened. After I went to the bathroom, the school was going on lockdown after an armed man entered the school, and there were no loudspeakers in the bathroom, so I couldn't hear anything as I did my business. And it turned out the guy I was walking with was the armed person, and that I was about to be kidnapped. But being a 5th grader, it didn't really seem to understand to me. Then the field trip was cut short and we went back to our school. After everyone went home, my teacher and parents were talking for hours until my parents forbid me to go on any more field trips for my safety. At first, none of this ever understood to me, but when I got more older and mature, my parents explained everything better, and now sunk on me better now. But what kills me the most is that what could have happened if I did go with that man in the van. But I knew that nothing good was ever going to happen. It was time for our time at a camp we had to go to. When you reach a certain grade in my school, your whole grade goes to a camp to learn nature before summer. And I wasn't the type to go camping all the time, but I did like the feeling of being surrounded by nothing but nature, so I was looking forward to what we were doing there. It was a long drive to the place, but when we did arrive, we had to be assigned to our groups and cabins. So after a while of unpacking and choosing bunks, we started doing activities for the rest of the day. Then after we finished dinner, the chaperones told us that we had to go to bed now, so we all started to head for our cabins. Me and my group wanted to stay up though. We played cards, someone brought and betted a few bucks on who would win. Then after around 2 hours, we started to hit the hay. We all went to sleep after turning out the lights. The next day, I woke up early. I got dressed and brushed my teeth. Then after all was done, I went to wake everyone else up. But I noticed something strange. 2 of our bunkmates were not here. I wake everyone else and tell them, but they all said that they must have went out early, so that's what we all believed. Then we all went to the cafeteria to eat breakfast. But when we arrived, I noticed that I still couldn't find the 2. It was very strange, but I didn't assume the worst. After breakfast, we did lots of activities like rope course and rafting. Then we all returned to the cafeteria for dinner. It was beyond strange. The 2 that left early were nowhere to be found all day. So this time, I tell a chaperone about the 2 missing students. Then he told me the same thing as everyone else. So I gave up and enjoyed the rest of my day. We went to bed early this time. It was a big day tomorrow, and we didn't want to miss it. So I went to bed early. But when I woke up early in the night, I needed to go to the bathroom. but the bathroom was a little walk in the woods. So I go out and walk to the bathroom. Then after I finish my business, I notice someone who was walking to our cabin. He knocked on the door, and a few of my bunkmates followed the guy. I watched as the guy took them into the woods. I finally sunk in on what was happening. I ran to my cabin and nobody was inside. I ran to the main office. I explained to them that a man was luring students into the forest. Then the chaperone sounded the alarm and the whole camp was on lockdown. Then a few chaperones went to get the students who followed the guy. Then it all became a scene. No sleep was given tonight, and when morning finally came, the activities were cancelled in order for everyone's safety. It took a while, but the chaperones somehow did find some missing students. They were all a mess, and they looked horrified. But they were unable to find the guy responsible. The chaperones told us to call our parents and get a ride home, and that's what we all did. Years later, I get in touch with the victim and asked what happened. Apparently, some man was luring unsuspecting people into his shack. Then he would try and murder them and bury their bodies in the woods. Most of them escaped, but some were still lost in those woods. This severely scarred me in camping, and I don't think I can ever camp again. I was in 7th grade when this happened. My whole class took a field trip to a science center. We would learn new things there and have fun at the same time. I was with my group of friends the whole time. There was Luke, there was Joey, and Xavier. We were following the tour guide into the outer space area. There, we see lots of space gadgets and tools. We thought it was really cool. Then the tour guide told us to look around and take pictures. So we explored more of this area. Luke and Xavier were taking pics, while Joey and me were interacting with the gadgets. Then, out of nowhere, Xavier comes running towards us. He tells us that Luke was gone and needed help. Me and Joey asked him how we even lost him. Xavier explained to us that they went to the nature area, and when he was taking more pics, he sees Luke talking to a man. Then he started to follow him into a different area, but Xavier couldn't catch up, so he came to us for help. But as he was finishing, Luke comes walking back to us. All three of us asked him where he went, but he looked shocked and nothing was said. Then we started nudging him to talk, but Luke told us not to worry about it. All three of us looked at each other, but we gave up and continued our exploration until it was time to leave. When we all got home, we all started video calling like we normally did. We talked about nonsense for a while, until Joey asked Luke what happened at the science center, but he still refused to speak. But that was when I noticed a figure behind Luke in the ambience. I tell him that someone was sneaking up on him, but Luke looked and nobody was there. So he started to tell me to stop being a douche. Then the shadow was getting closer. I tell him that I wasn't joking and to turn around. And when he did, he screamed. Right before he disconnected. Me, Joey, and Xavier all had the same face. We called up Luke, but he wasn't answering. So we called his home phone, and still nobody. We couldn't do anything but wait. But we gave up and said goodbye to each other. Some time passed, and I was getting ready for bed. And right before I went to bed, I get a call. It's from Luke. I picked up and asked what happened. Then Luke told me it was the same man. I asked him, what man? Then he explained that he was mugged at the science center and they gave his values to the guy. And his phone had his address and everything, so he must have followed Luke home. And when he saw the guy, he screamed. And then the man grabbed him and tried to cover his mouth. But then his dad came rushing in and helped his son. And when Luke was free, he and his dad left the house to call the police. Then they took the guy away. This trip has really hurt Luke, and you all should do the same thing and never talk to strangers no matter what.